Hello and welcome to another episode of Empowering Equality, the Inclusive Workplace and Supply Council of Canada, or IWSCC's podcast on all things supplier diversity. I'm your host, Alex Turkson, and I'm super happy to have a conversation with my guest today, Christine Carignan from DIAKI Experiences. Welcome, Christine. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you here. I know you've been a certified supplier with the IWSCC. I think you've been with the IWSCC for longer than I have, truth be told. But being sometimes a little more behind the scenes on our team, I don't always get the best opportunity to get to know some members of our community. So I'm super excited to get to know you a little better on our show today.
Thank you.
So you are a business owner. I maybe spoiled it a little bit there. Your business, DIAKI Experiences, is an IWSCC certified supplier. Can you tell me a little bit about DIAKI and what it does?
Okay. So at DIAKI, we harness our lifelong learning and experiences to help build more inclusive and higher performance teams. By enhancing and building diverse teams, you encourage innovation. Innovation leads to increased productivity. Increased productivity creates a greater sense of belongings. And now within the Government of Canada, it promotes a philosophy of diversity, equity, and inclusiveness, and I'm adding belongings, across the public service. So our philosophy here at DIAKI, it needs to translate into action. And then this is where DIAKI Experiences can help. We work with teams to promote and build psychological safety. When employees feel safe, they share. Sharing encourages innovation and promotes team building. We break the ice with psychometric assessment to help employees better understand themselves and those around them. It is also an important tool for management. And we do coach and mentor, usually one-on-one. So we do a lot of one-on-one, and then we go back in teams and we facilitate team building through exercises and scenarios. Individuals seeks. This is where we enhance team ability to work together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it sounds like, actually, first of all, I want to say I love your inclusion of belonging. We have so many different versions, I think, for diversity, equity, and inclusion, or EDI, DEI in this space. Our team as well, we do our best to include belonging in that list because it's so important. And it sounds like it's very central to what your business does, kind of helping foster feelings of belonging to improve productivity rather than just focusing on productivity. It's when you're happy, when you are feeling like you are with a workplace that accepts you and with a workplace where you're allowed to share, as you mentioned, then it enhances your business's ability to get work done, to be productive, to innovate, all that great stuff. So working with teams is a pretty big, really big breadth of businesses and clients that I'm sure you can work with. Are there particular clients that your business usually works with, maybe in certain industries or certain sizes or anything like that?
Yes. So far, DIAKI Experiences, we're only a 4-year company. We're still very young. However, most of our contracts been with federal department and agencies.
Okay.
Yeah. So our main client is the Canadian Armed Forces, the House of Commons, and we had the Transport Canada, just to name a few.
Okay. So that explains, as you mentioned earlier, sort of the connection between the interests and the priorities and the focuses of your business with those new developments in our government as well. A new attention on belonging, on acceptance, inclusion, and accessibility, of course. So that alignment makes a whole bunch of sense and sounds like is a great match for your business as well. Can you maybe working with the government, I know sometimes things can be a little under wraps or perhaps still in development. But can you share with us a project that you're particularly proud of, or maybe that your business completed recently, so we can unpack a little and understand a little bit better what you do?
Okay. So one project we're very proud of is the one we are having with the House of Commons right now, where this group has been with us pretty much since the beginning. They keep coming back. So obviously we must be doing something right.
Definitely.
So it's a group of 20 people. And basically what we're doing with them is that we're guiding them through psychological safety, which is at the heart of everything we do. And they did a big commitment as a team to work on each of them. So each of individual are working on themselves. And then we coach, we mentor each individual. And after that, we go back in team workshops. So we keep alternating with this. So the last contract, it's a 8-month contracts, and we see the team every 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks we have a 2-hour workshop, and then every individual get an hour coaching. And then we go back and forth like this. And this is where the magic happens. Everybody's optimizing their own potential. And then everybody knows that everybody's working. And then as a team, they're growing.
Yeah, that's very cool. I don't want to throw shade at workshops I've been in the past and so on, but I know sometimes team building can be a scary word for some teams when you hear, well, we're doing a team building exercise next week, and you think, oh, I'm going to go to this meeting and I'm going to see this slideshow, and then we're never going to talk about it again. But to hear that you have these workshops and you work with the team, and then you work with each member of that team too, to really sort of find the unique strengths and abilities and help support that understanding. That sounds like, you do the whole package, the high level and the in depth, which is very cool.
Yes, it takes a lot of commitment from everyone in the team. It takes a lot of energy from everyone in the team. However, if you're really serious and we hear this often where people say, yeah, I invest in my people. Do they really? It's a 2-hour workshop or even a day workshop. It's nice. It helps. But the reality is that it fades away pretty quickly. So,
and teams are made up of people.
Yes, they are. So this is where the magic happens, is that there's a real commitment from every members, and everybody's working, and they're not just like every month as you come back and then you refreshed it and then you restart it. They're still working, and the magic happens in between workshops, really. Because we do the work, not us. We facilitate, we bring some subject, we bring them activities, but the real works, they do it in between workshops.
Excellent. Wow. Seems like a really fantastic philosophy to help guide growth and improvement, a little bit of self-improvement and a little bit of mentorship as well. You did mention that the business is just 4 years old, if I heard you right. So can you tell me a little bit about how DIAKI Experiences got started, and how maybe a little bit about yourself, how you became an entrepreneur and found yourself where you are now?
Okay. So I'm a proud veteran. I served my country I had the privilege to serve my country for 29 years, up to the executive level. Unfortunately, when I left the military, when I exit the military, I faced mental challenges. I experienced burnout and operational stress injury. So I was a young veteran with significant experience, and I possessed a strong desire to contribute meaningfully. However, I just said, I was not in the best of my mental state. So recognizing the importance of self-care, not only recognizing, but I was faced to do it. I prioritized my own well-being. And during this journey, I discovered numerous tools and numerous personal development tools. And that proved instrumental in my own recovery. And I was inspired by this transformation, and I made the decision to officially share my toolbox. And obviously, I'm sharing my toolbox, but I adapted it to the team building activities and to the growth of the corporate teams. So my goal today is to empower managers and leaders to unlock their full potential and optimize their effectiveness through these resources. And when I say managers and leaders, I also believe that every employee has a role of leadership within an organization. So for me, everybody's a leader in a way.
Very well. I mean, that's absolutely wonderful. I appreciate you sharing a little vulnerability with us on the show today, and just wonderful to hear that the journey that you went through to help support your own mental health and your own happiness and success is turned into something that you wanted to share with others. I think that's a story that we can find with a lot of entrepreneurs out there, especially diverse entrepreneurs. So many of the businesses that IWSCC works with, veteran-owned and disabled-owned businesses, start themselves because they had to create a path for themselves because there wasn't necessarily a straightforward one available for them in the ways that might be available for other folks, or because they went through this lived experience that gave them unique toolkits, as you said, that they want to be able to share with others. So it's just so wonderful to hear. It's very inspirational every time we hear about someone else. I mean, I think it's always pretty inspirational to hear about someone who goes through an experience, learns from it, and then wants to share with others and help them through that experience too. Super cool. And on the topic of being IWSCC certified, can you tell me a little bit about what that means exactly to you?
Of course. So at DIAKI Experiences, we take pride in being IWSCC certified, not only as a veteran-owned business, but also because the majority of our team consists of women and also veterans. So so I'm quite proud of that. And in that sense, I make a statement to accommodate the veteran. So a veteran has a lot to contribute still. However, they want to do it in their own terms. So for me, that's important to acknowledge and to recognize it and to create that space where they can do just that. So I make an effort out of that. So it's very part of my philosophy. So we are also bilingual and proud to offer our services in both official languages. So that's another aspect of our diversity. So this certification reflects my commitment to consider the human aspect in everything we do, both internally and with our clientele, obviously. So in one of our programs, for example, we are collaborating with VO2, which is a company based in Montreal. And together we co-facilitate activities with visually impaired facilitators. So it brings participants engaged in a series of blindfolded activities, and it provides them with a unique perspective of in fostering team cohesion. So this powerful team building exercise allows teams to see the reality through a different lens. So this is just one example of things we can do where it brings out the diversity aspect to it.
Absolutely. And I'm sure there's so many more. At the IWSCC, we talk a lot about the snowball effect that working with diverse-owned businesses has. And you yourself are such a great example. When your business is owned and managed and so on by someone from an underrepresented community, it's so often the case that when they find success, they create more opportunities for other members of those communities or members of other communities, because that understanding of the capabilities of someone who maybe just had some barriers put in front of them at one point or another are still valuable and are probably quite unique and bring a unique perspective to business, which is always a great thing for an entrepreneur, for a growing business, is innovation and competition. So absolutely wonderful to hear. Do you feel maybe I promise it's not a loaded question, but do you feel that being certified with the IWSCC has had an effect on your business or with you?
It definitely did, in the sense that, like when I first registered, it was the opportunity of sell pitch. And it definitely did the work. So, putting it in practice, which is key for any entrepreneur, especially in my business. It's there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of different ways to that people do team buildings and stuff like this,
right,
and coaching. So there's a lot of competition out there. So how do I stand out, And IWSCC helped me to that, because it helped me to process from one thing, and then to really pinpoint, especially, the way we like to approach things.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I promise I'm not just fishing for compliments. I definitely want to know myself, and I hope that our listeners can learn a little bit about how an organization like the IWSCC might help the business that it certifies through, as you mentioned, networking opportunities where you can get connected with our corporate members and get that practice at pitching your business, and hopefully maybe give you a little bit of a unique leg up on the competition as well by proudly sharing your diversity. We're kind of coming to the end of our time, but I always like to end conversations by getting to know folks I'm talking with a little more personally and a little less business. But before we move on to my last couple questions, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners about yourself or about DIAKI Experiences? Anything exciting that you have upcoming, or just anything else that comes to mind?
Yeah, actually. I'll take the opportunity to share one project I'm very proud of.
Okay.
Yes, I know you asked the question earlier, about my business, but something I'm very proud personal. And it's a project that I hold dear to my heart, is the successful migration of an Afghan family to Canada, with the support of obviously my family, but also with my team, the DIAKI team. So after a challenging 30 months journey, they arrived safely on March 8th.
Wow.
Was a great way to celebrate International Women Day. For me, it was like a day I will remember forever. So Mohammed, he served with me in Afghanistan as my interpreter. And I was a mentor in Afghanistan back in 2010-11. And he played a pivotal role in this endeavor. So his assistance was indispensable to the success of my mission. And as you could see, I was a mentor with the Afghan army, but I was also a woman. So I had other challenges. So I'm very proud of that.
Wow. Yeah.
They're safe now. Him and his family, the 5 people safe in Canada, which is a big deal. So that principle of leaving no one behind, ingrained in me during my military service. It remained also as a guiding force, within what I do at DIAKI. Mm-hmm. So it has become an integral part of my transformative approach, and it reflecting on our commitment to supporting one another within our organization. So, and ensuring the well-being of all members. So when it comes to inclusiveness, to me, this is where it lies, and it is where it comes from. It comes from that we leave no one behind, and this is applying into our daily work as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. What a wonderful story to hear that someone so pivotal to your military career came back around in your life, and that you were able to help offer them support after they offered you support earlier in your career. That's absolutely beautiful. What a lovely way to sort of start off the year as well. I know you mentioned it. They just arrived back in March, but just at the start of 2024. What fantastic news! I hope the rest of the year brings you and the family that you helped as well tons more success and happiness and safety as we keep on thriving here in the Great White North. Gosh, sorry, I'm a little flustered. That was such a wonderful story. On the more personal subject, my questions are a little bit more lighthearted. But first and foremost, I'm very curious. Entrepreneurs are such busy people, but when you find time for yourself, Christine, how do you like to spend that spare time? Do you have any hobbies or interests that help you relax?
No, of course I do. My happy place is during the winters, cross-country skiing. Yeah, it's my happy place. Gatineau Park is my favorite park. And this year, the season was short, but that's so be it. And in the rest of the year, I like cycling. So I cycle along the river, Ottawa River, and again, it's my happy place. So
yeah, very active. Sounds like you're a fan of maybe those kind of meditative activities too. Not too high intensity, but they take you through the outdoors. They get you some sunshine, some fresh air. And they're a great way to kind of get some fitness and cruise along as well.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it does.
Very cool. And when you're getting your day started, I know so many entrepreneurs and professionals out there, myself included. Sometimes we just have coffee for breakfast or tea. But when you get to enjoy the most important meal of the day, what is your favorite breakfast food?
Well, I don't take it every day, mind you, but there's nothing like bacon.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you can't go wrong. Do you have a favorite type of bacon? Are you just like a back bacon or pork bacon person? Pea meal or Canadian bacon? We've got turkey bacon out there.
Obviously, I'm gonna go with Canadian bacon.
There's nothing quite like just some good some pea meal and eggs. As a former fry cook, I'm super passionate about breakfast all day long, and I'm always curious about how people like to start their day. So great to hear that you love a classic. And I know it's not for every day, but sometimes we just find the time to enjoy our favorites.
Exactly.
And my last question that I like to end all these conversations off with is maybe it's for business or maybe it's for life, but what is a good piece of advice?
So I think it's for both, and so it's my quote, my trademark. But lead with your heart and serve with purpose.
Lead with your heart and serve with purpose. Fantastic. All right. Well, I think there's so much to unpack and to experience. I'm so charged up for self-improvement. I'm charged up for team improvement. And I'm so grateful that you were able to join me on the show today. Thanks so much for joining me, Christine.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful conversation. And thank you to our audience as well for joining us today. Empowering Equality is hosted by the Inclusive Workplace and Supply Council of Canada, or IWSCC. We're connecting disabled-owned and veteran-owned businesses with opportunities across Canada. A huge thank you to Pod Supply for producing this episode, and to our sponsors RBC and Bell for helping to provide the American Sign Language for this show, as well as all of our events, helping us make events more accessible and inclusive for all of our suppliers, our corporate members, and everybody else who joins us. As our 2024 ASL leader, RBC helps us provide that American Sign Language with support from champions like Bell. If you're catching this episode on YouTube, where you'll see that ASL, we're also happy to let you know that it's provided by Maple Communications Canada. If you want to learn more about the IWSCC, you can visit us at www.iwscc.ca. If you want to learn more about DIAKI Experiences, Christine, where's the best place to find you?
Yes, my website. So DIAKIExperiences.com.
Excellent. All right. And we'll include that link in the episode's description. So if you're listening to this, check them out, go take a look and get started with your team building today. If you enjoyed this conversation, as much as I did, then be sure to like and follow and subscribe and favorite our show, the IWSCC DIAKI Experiences. Thanks so much for joining us. And Christine, could you remind me of your motto one more time before we head out?
Yes, lead with your heart, serve with purpose.
Lead with your heart, serve with purpose. Excellent. And keep on empowering equality. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks for joining us.